any in-stock vehicle this end of financial year. That's if you take delivery before the 30th of June. With 8 big car brands, MG, Nissan, Kia, Isuzu Ute, Jeep, Ram, Samsung, Peugeot and Pacific Caravans, it's literally a one-stop shop for all your driving needs. Plus, with over 150 quality pre-owned vehicles, Northern Motor Group really does have your next vehicle purchase ready and waiting. Don't wait. Visit www.northernmotorgroup.com.au today. They're in Grimshaw Street, Bundoora, and tell them George sent you. LMCT 6595.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website, dkpco.com.au, or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
Are you a professional optimised business? Time to look at Northern Peugeot Bundoora to further professionalise your fleet with their updated commercial van range. The team at Northern Peugeot Bundoora can help customise your fleet to your business needs. Stock arriving now, so secure your van and beat the rush before the end of financial year madness. Visit northernpeugeot.com.au or call 9119 9008. T&Cs apply.
She lays it off Teresa Polias. It's an absolute peach. Ayres driving. What a hit from Melina Ayres. Wow. And Sam Kerr has a hat-trick.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of Radio Dub here on FNR with yours truly, Pure Friend Pong, joined by Oscar Rutherford, as always. We took a week off, which is just something we do here on Radio Dub. It's just kind of a vibe that we appreciate and respect.
Self-care.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to take a nap. You just got to relax for a time, you know? This is demanding stuff.
A mental health day.
Exactly. This is demanding stuff. Not to talk to the players. It's fantastic to talk to the players. It's always great. But, you know, the travels are what the travels. The travels, you know what I mean?
For sure.
We're committed. We're obviously really committed to the show. We really do enjoy it. But obviously with the dub season being over, we are transitioning to talk about the NPL Victoria, the most important competition going on throughout the year. Quite frankly, some would say the most important tournament happening this year in Australia.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't think of anything that would really rival it, to be honest.
I have no idea if there's anything bigger.
Different playing fields, whatever those other competitions are. Like, whatever they are, they escape me at the moment.
Exactly. They don't even register as like things that are happening because NPL Victoria is just such a massive, all-consuming space that you just kind of got to respect.
I'm hearing there are people who will be coming from all over the world just to watch the back half of the NPLW season.
Yeah, I've heard that there are songs specifically for each individual club, you know, like it's just, it's beautiful. I've heard that. No, I'm not going to say that.
I thought you were going to keep this going, yeah.
I can't say that. I was going to say something and then I was like, I like my life.
Okay, all right.
I really like my life. But no, we are going to be speaking to Danielle Wise. Huge. Made the off-season switch from Heidelberg to South Melbourne.
As a Golden Boot winner as well.
Exactly. Big acquisition from South Melbourne. We'll talk to her a little bit about how the season's going, how her, what are her future aspirations? Are we going to see her in the dub? Is there going to be more ammunition for us to talk about how great NPL Victoria is when we give another player in the competition?
That's a good point.
We're going to ask her a whole host of questions, obviously Radio Dub vibe questions as well. And it should be a lot of fun. But we are in what round are we in? Round 12 now?
We just played round
11, right?
11.
Yeah,
yes.
so we're in round 12 heading into this weekend. But we've had 11 rounds of the NPL. Been surprising. I'm just surprised, actually. at the current states of the table, particularly by a side both the name of Bulleen. I was expecting a little bit more from them. How have you seen their run so far?
Bulleen specifically?
Yeah, Bulleen specifically.
Well, I think the Bulleen are perhaps the most representative of the phenomenon that we will see over the next few weeks of the transformation that the teams have now that they've got new firepower coming in. We've seen the likes of, Beattie Goat and Paige Joyce and all of those players. Tifeliadis, Maja Markovski. I'm sure we're forgetting someone, TJ Vlanic.
Yes.
All these players. So that's half your team, which is just a completely new team. Alana Janchevsky, yeah, well, can't believe we did. Yeah, over half of your team. That was shameful, that one. That was pretty embarrassing. Yeah. So we will see a very different Bulleen team over the next few weeks, gradually forming than what we've seen for the first 10 weeks of the season. So that will be a different thing to see. I mean, you saw Bulleen in the flesh over the weekend. Did you see any improvements in their general play?
I think I walked away maybe a little bit disappointed by their performance as a whole, because I saw the midweek result against Boroondara and it was comfortable. I think it was 4-0. I know they definitely scored 4 goals. I can't remember if Boroondara scored, but they were comfortable in that win, and you saw a very experienced squad put out.
That win being a 2-0 win over Southern United, just for clarity.
Yeah, the Southern United game, they won 2-0 down at Salandra Recreational Reserve, and 15 minutes away from my house. Very happy about that.
Convenience.
Very convenient. But their performance just was, I don't know, every time I watch them, I'm always wanting more. I think that with a side with a lot of attacking options, I don't see them being as aggressive as I, would like them to be. And maybe that will, and I'm sure, have no doubt it will come as the season goes. But I thought that Southern United have definitely obviously sit bottom of the table, and they are the quality they have compared to the other sides in the competition. It makes sense that they are there at that current spot. And Southern United's had moments in this game, and obviously it's the NPL, and that stuff can happen. But I was just maybe expecting a little bit more from them at times with their performance.
Yeah, no, it's fair enough. I mean, we both called Bulleen together, didn't we, the week prior to that in their draw with Calder. And, I think you do have to give space for Caitlin Friend to integrate those new players, even if those players...
That's why I'm not fully off the bandwagon. I'm still there.
There's still time. Yeah, Southern United, another team who've made some recruitments, and that I think has improved them slightly, but of course the gap between Southern United and the rest of the competition we're seeing is quite wide. But I think we've got Danielle Wise on in a really great week, because the game of the round, it was just extraordinary.
She must have had a great weekend.
She did, yeah, and it was, for those unaware, South Melbourne 4, Boroondara 3.
Yes.
Is just, what a crazy result.
When you got the season guide out, you wouldn't have thought that's the game that's going to have the game of the week.
Yeah.
Because you would have said looking at this week, I would have gone Box Hill Preston. Now that's the game of the round.
Evenly matched teams.
Evenly matched, good quality all throughout both sides. And it just, that Boroondara game, Boroondara have surprised me as well. They've deserved their positioning on the table. But to talk about the game of the ground,
of the ground.
I swear, you know what's so weird for me? I'm so bad at the English language and also so bad at geography. And
really?
And sometimes I want to say I wasn't born here, so I get an excuse out of it. But I feel like I've lived here for a long time. I don't feel like it's appropriate anymore. You know what I mean? I feel like it's a bit childish.
A bit of a get out clause.
Yeah, a bit out of
leaning on it a bit too heavily.
But talking about that South Melbourne Boroondara Eagles game, we've got to talk about the game winner, the goal scorer of the game winner. Is that English?
I think we all know what you mean.
But I'm really struggling today.
Yeah.
We're lucky enough to be joined by Danielle Wise. Danielle, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
We're doing good. I'm sorry I butchered your intro so bad. It was, sometimes I try to do too much and I fail, and this is what's happened right now.
That's fine.
How does it feel to score that late in a game and secure the win for your side? What are your emotions like?
If anyone saw the videos, I think that everyone would agree that my emotions were extremely high. I think I couldn't contain it. I don't think I've ever celebrated like that before. So I think it was just one of those things that I felt like we really deserved it. And it just, it happened to be that I scored. And in the moment, I don't even think I can explain my emotions, to be honest.
I mean, it was a bit of a scrappy introduction there, Pokuah. I think you could use a similar word to describe that final goal because, I mean, Danielle, how much did you know about it when it kind of came off the goalkeeper and rebounded into you and went back into the back of the net? Was that all part of the grand plan?
I wish. I ran at her and hoped that she would cough it up a little bit, and it just happened to hit something of me. And I think I watched it about 100 times to work out what it actually hit, because I looked up and it was in the back of the net, and I just, I don't even know what it hit. So I didn't really care, to be honest. As long as it went in the back of the net, I was happy.
Goal scoring is something you're not too dissimilar. You are very familiar with the concept of goal scoring. You did it a lot last year. It was, I think some teams probably were praying that you just wouldn't play that game because you were just, scoring was just something you did so frequently. That part of your game, how have you, evolved it and become so much more consistent in it, and felt, how have you felt your game develop overall is the question, I guess.
Yeah, I think as a striker, you learn to develop, I guess, the skill of being in a certain situation and having to deal with certain situations and changing your runs because of certain defenders or whatever it might be. So I think as time has gone on, I've just learned what my strengths are and just tried to stick to my strengths and block out anything else and just do what I do best. And I think the best thing I do is I just work as hard as I can and just hope that I get the rewards at the end of the day.
Well, Danielle, you made the big decision in the off-season to make the switch from Heidelberg to South Melbourne. It's a big call. It's always exciting when a player makes that transition. I guess, what was the motivating factor behind that decision, and how have you found life at Lakeside?
Blue.
Yeah, really good. In the blue, yeah. Look, it wasn't an easy decision, and I think for any player in the NPL, it is always hard to leave a team, and Heidelberg was a great team, and I have nothing bad to say about Heidelberg. South is amazing. Like, I think that the South family and the South community is one of a kind. Their facilities are next level. South have a great name and a great history behind them. And personally for me, I felt like I needed a different challenge, and a change. And I just decided to bite the bullet. And like I said, it was not easy, and I still have great connections at Heidelberg. But in saying that, I am really happy with my decision to make the move over to South this year.
Playing at South Melbourne, you're playing with one of Radio Dub's favourite players in Francesca Iamano, who is... I think she does. I don't know if she currently holds it, but she did for a certain period of time hold the number one guest title.
Yeah.
What's it like playing with Franny?
Firstly, it doesn't surprise me. Secondly, she's a great person. She's such a character and such a good person to be around. To be honest, she's only been at training or involved in games, etc., for the last few weeks. And I personally didn't know Franny that well beforehand. I knew of Franny, and we'd had bypassing conversations about soccer and whatnot, but I didn't know her that well, and we clicked straight away, which is concerning. So she's a good egg.
Franny is she's very funny individual, yeah. Franny, and something that your South Melbourne side of, you guys have got Misha Westland into your squad as well, and you're sitting second on the table. How confident are you heading into I was going to say the back half, but it's not really, but you know what I mean?
The rest of the season,
heading into the rest of the season and finishing maybe top or winning it all.
I would like, I try to be humble. I would like to say that I'm extremely, extremely confident with who we've got in our squad. And all I can say is that I feel like as a whole, and even without the A-League girls that have been added into our team. We have a great squad, and there's girls, like I said in my post-match interview on the weekend, there's girls on the bench that are ready to go, and we're all fighting, and that it makes it competitive, which is really good. And each week we're fighting for a position and we're fighting to perform, and that's only making us better. So as the season goes on, because of that, we're seeming to connect better and to play better, and we're all everyone counts is pretty much all I'm saying. Everyone in our team counts and everyone's making an impact. And if we continue that trend, I would really hope that we will be right up there contesting for the top of the table.
South Melbourne are one of the teams that have impressed me the most in terms of their improvement.
Oscar, just because we have a guest on doesn't mean you have to,
make it about me.
Make it about you.
I'll try hard. Yeah? I'll try really hard. No, but South Melbourne, the growth that we've seen in this season compared to where they were last campaign, it's been really impressive, and they really stamped that with their win over Boroondara over the weekend. I presume, Danielle, that you will take a reasonable amount of the credit for those steps forward.
Oh, that's really awkward to comment on.
No, don't listen to Oscar.
Honestly, there's been a good amount of change in South and the players that have come in, but there's obviously players that are still there, and we're just trying to be that help to connect the dots, I guess, in the team, and to bring that little extra spark that they might have needed. And South has always been a really good team. And last year I remember playing them, and they beat us at being at Heidelberg in the Night Cup. And it was probably one of the hardest games that we played that season within that Night Cup semi-final. And it still kills me to this day, even though I'm now playing for South, that they were still very hard to play against. So table last year, where they were sitting, it just was the lack of the season and the lack of how they went, but they've always been a competitive team.
Now, I don't want to obviously we shouldn't harp on that Nike FC Cup for too long, but that was one of my favorite. That was one of my favorite games of last year. It was so chaotic. Honestly, you blinked and something else happened. It was crazy. But we won't talk about that for any longer than we need to.
Good idea,
Danielle. I want to just talk about you for a second. Obviously, you've playing in the NPL for a while, and I was speaking to somebody. I was like, who I would like to see in a dub uniform? It's Danielle Wise. She's great. NPL Victoria has lots of great players.
Glad I'm not the only one making it about myself, but go on.
Oscar, it's my show.
Please.
When I'm the host, I get to do what I like. You're a co-host, okay? It's different rules, okay? But Danielle, is that something that you have in your aspirations to play in the dub, or do you just love just being so dominant in the NPL?
I was a step to possibly doing it last season, and I was very, very close to signing an A-League contract. I had a small handful of clubs contact me, and it was honestly a decision I had to make whether I was having to give up my job, and my job at the moment is something that is extremely full on, and I would not have been able to juggle both. And obviously, as everyone knows, in the A-League women's, it is very hard and there's a lot of sacrifice. I came to a conclusion that I was maybe going to sacrifice a little bit, and it fell through with the club that I was going to sign for. But it is hard, and it's something that I think that I've not really gone down the track for, because I just have been in a job that it is extremely hard for me to do that and to do my job. And it's obviously I'm now 27, so I am quite, I would like to say old. I am older compared to a lot of the girls that are tracking in the A-League, and I've it's been hard, and I guess my lifestyle and what I'm doing with my job has made it even harder. So, it's just been one of those things.
Well, Danielle, even if you don't play in the dub, I just already know, because NPL Victoria is so dominant, that I just kind of always know when an NPL Victoria player comes into the dub, it's just automatic success. Like, success points just accumulate. And Lana Yanchevsky, the voices of the world. But you know what? It is what it is. We would love to see you there, but we are loving seeing you play in the NPL. What's been, besides this last weekend that just happened, what's been a game that sticks out in your mind as that was the best game I ever played, or your favourite game ever, just as being on the pitch?
I don't even think I can think past this weekend, last weekend. Oh gosh, that's put me on the spot. Probably in my career. Are we talking in my career or more so this year?
Let's go your career. We don't like to limit here on Radio Dub.
I think one would have been, I played at Gold Coast United for 6 months. My fiance moved there during COVID to play, and I decided to join while I was there because why not?
You just had to show off and just beat the competition as well.
Play a different, and in another different state. And we won the championship, which that game I think was probably one of the most exciting games. I'd just come back from an 8-week injury where I pretty much blew my ankle into pieces, and I was really busting to get back. And I think I trained once for about 20 minutes, and then I ended up playing 90 minutes that game just because the adrenaline was too high to even feel anything until after the match. So it was a great match, and I think that's probably been a highlight to win that with that club. And it is that Gold Coast United is also a great club, and I just remember the celebrations after it were extremely fun, and we all had a good time after it. But we're always winning a championship, and a championship game is a big one for the books.
Did you, when you left that competition, did you just leave with the confirmation in your mind that NPL Victoria is the most dominant NPL competition?
Yes, I think that Victoria is above Queensland. New South Wales is pretty high. So New South Wales and Victoria would be neck and neck. But yeah, the competition there is quite strong as well.
We know who's next ahead, and that's NPL Victoria. I feel like we just got that confirmed, Oscar.
Yeah, well, I mean, Danielle, if you couldn't tell, this is very much an NPL Victoria propaganda podcast.
Absolutely.
Parochial.
We've got merchandise coming very soon.
Merchandise is coming. It's really a non-stop train. I mean, what has been the biggest... You mentioned playing in those interstate competitions in New South Wales and Queensland. What is, I guess, in your mind, the defining feature of NPL Victoria that makes it different from those other competitions that you've played in?
In regards to the competition, especially this year, it's very even across the board. If you look at our ladder, I think from about 8th position, there's only points between, and it's been extremely hard to break away from the pack. And obviously that's the goal for most of the teams, are to win every game, because if you lose one game, you could end up from 2nd to 6th. Just because of 3 points being dropped. So the competitiveness across the board within Victoria is high, and there isn't a team that's an easy team that you go into a game and think, oh, this is 3 points here. It's like every single game you're competing, and you just don't know what's going to happen in that game. And it's a definition of, I guess, football and what it can be about, and it's just on whatever happens on the day happens.
Now, see, that is true. That is very fair. And you know what? Here on Radio Dub, we are, maybe you can't tell, Danielle, we're very unserious people.
I think that was apparent from the first moment we spoke.
Very unserious people. We just love the competition. We want to obviously get to know the players. And I want to know, Danielle, what is on your playlist leading up to a game, and what is on the celebratory playlist as well?
I think I'll start with the celebration song. So originally we were listening to Adele, which was extremely I don't know why, was our celebration song, but everyone got so involved. It's actually, we love it now. So everyone gets singing. Prior to the game, it's a mixture. We've got girls that will be listening to, requesting songs that I don't even understand, to the Chris Browns, the Nicki Minaj's, to everyone getting up and pole dancing. Like it's a mixture of things in our change room. Luckily the door's shut.
See, this music playlist, I want to know, is there does one person just bring their phone, or is there like a South Melbourne playlist that just everyone adds songs to? Like how does it work?
I'm the DJ, so it's a bit it's a bit of me.
Okay.
DJ Wise.
It never works.
Yo, DJ Wise on the tracks here. Yeah. I love this. Wait, what is one song that you have to play? You don't care if anybody else likes it or not, but you've got to play it.
I'm a Chris Brown girl. Anything Chris Brown, I'm happy with. I don't care how slow it is. It pumps me up.
No, fair. Are we new Chris Brown or old Chris Brown? Because I'm like Chris Brown's OG album, Yo Excuse Me Miss, that's one of my favourite Chris Brown songs ever, and it's a peak vibe. What's the Chris Brown rotation, like early or now?
Bit of both, a bit of No Guidance, bit of everything. Anything Chris Brown I'm happy with.
We trust DJ Wise is what we're saying here on Radio Dub.
But also, how do you end up as DJ Wise? Do you walk into the club and start introducing yourself? Hi, I'm DJ Wise. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. DJ Wise, wonderful, fantastic. Who's playing the song? Well.
It comes with being the oldest one and trying to make the change room not be stale.
Okay, fair enough.
Walking in and playing it.
No, very much. Well, DJ Wise, thank you for joining us here on Radio Dub.
You'll hear that on the comms around the competition. DJ
Wise.
Brilliant.
I regret this.
Well, we appreciate you joining us on the show. Good luck on the weekend. Who are you guys playing on the weekend? I've forgotten.
Heidelberg.
Oh, my days. Oscar.
Sunday Arvo, Pokuah.
How are you?
Get with it.
Are you excited for this? How are your nerves feeling before this game?
A lot better than the first round. So I think we played Heidelberg first round of the season, and I think that was done on purpose. But anyway, a lot better than the first round. But obviously walking in their gates and, I haven't been there and played on that pitch since I've left. So it's a big day, but we have a job to do, and that's what my mind's set to. It doesn't matter who we're playing.
Returning to the village, are you expecting any hostility in your reception?
They don't diss DJ Wise down at the Olympic Village. They can't do that.
I mean, it's good when you have DJ Wise in your team, but when DJ Wise defects, it cuts deep.
Who knows? Like, I don't think so. Like I said, there's not any bad blood. Whatever happens, I don't know, but just got to block out whatever it is. But I can't expect that to happen when I walk in.
Well, DJ Wise, thank you for joining us here on Radio Dub. That was Danielle Wise with us. If you missed this interview, check it out on Spotify and everything else. We will go to a quick break and we'll be right back to talk more NPL Victoria football.
I've got some great news for Football Nation Radio listeners. Our supportive partner, Northern Motor Group, is offering $250 off any in-stock vehicle this end of financial year. That's if you take delivery before the 30th of June. With 8 big car brands, MG, Nissan, Kia, Isuzu Ute, Jeep, Ram, Samsung, Peugeot and Pacific Caravans, it's literally a one-stop shop for all your driving needs. Plus, with over 150 quality pre-owned vehicles, Northern Motor Group really does have your next vehicle purchase ready and waiting. Don't wait. Visit www.northernmotorgroup.com.au today. They're in Grimshaw Street, Bundoora, and tell them George sent you. LMCT 6595. Are you a professional optimised business? Time to look at Northern Peugeot Bundoora to further professionalise your fleet with their updated commercial van range. The team at Northern Peugeot Bundoora can help customise your fleet to your business needs. Stock arriving now, so secure your van and beat the rush before the end of financial year madness. Visit northernpeugeot.com.au or call 9119 9008. T&Cs apply.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website, dkpco.com.au, or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
Since 1998, Lanco Group has been providing superior civil engineering solutions and advice to developers, local government and service authorities across Australia. Lanco Group is known for delivering sustainable, efficient solutions. By working closely with clients, Lanco Group is able to meet the complex infrastructure requirements for residential, commercial and industrial developments on time, on budget. Find out more at lancogroup.com.au. Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions.
Pickett, she lays it off. Teresa Polias. It's an absolute peach. Is driving. What a hit from Melina Reyes. Wow. And Sam Kerr has a hat-trick.
Hello and welcome back from that quick long ad break. I don't know. If you listen to the podcast, you won't even know. It's the beauty of listening to the show.
Timeless ad break.
Timeless ad break that didn't even happen. But if you missed the first 20 minutes of the show, we were lucky enough to be joined by DJ Wise, also known as Danielle Wise, who plays for South Melbourne here in the NPL Victoria, with just getting her thoughts on football. And do you know what the thing...
That's what we do, yep.
Yeah, got our thoughts on football.
Thoughts on football.
But, you know, the key thing about Radio Dub is about the music. And now that we know her name is DJ Wise, I think she should get some merch printed, if I'm honest about the situation.
I feel like that's been your idea like 4 times at the moment. We haven't quite taken the next step on any of them.
That's because I don't have the finances, but I feel like, you know, if you've got the finances for it.
Funding for Radio Dub.
Funding for Radio Dub. But
Kickstarter.
Something that I was really fascinated to hear about, you know, her not getting the contracts for a dub club, which I find really interesting because I think that she's a player who I think would do extremely well for just some clubs. I think if you watch the competition, you know which clubs could do with a striker. There are a few of them. We're not going to list them, but if you watch the competition, you would know. And I think that she's very versatile in her game, and I think that she doesn't miss barely. Like she's one of the best. She was gold medal winner, golden boot winner. Sorry, not gold medal. That went to
Sarah Kane and
Sophia
Sakalis. Yeah,
one of those we've had on the show. I think that, you know, Central Coast Mariners, they're a new team that are coming into the competition, and with Sydney being such, there are only so many players in Sydney, and there are a lot of clubs there. Yeah, I think that it'd be worthwhile for those clubs to have
Western Sydney. Would they be interested
Western Sydney don't have a striker at all.
There are lots of clubs who I think would be a good fit, and I think it would be really exciting to see Danielle get that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think she'd do quite well.
She would do absolutely fantastic, in my opinion. But we'll talk a little bit more about some of the games that happened in round 11 of the NPL Victoria. Yeah. We touched on a little bit of South Melbourne and Boroondara, obviously, with Danielle as well in that game. But do you have any final closing thoughts on that game, Oscar?
Well, the first half was one of the most extraordinary halves that we've seen this season, and the first 20 minutes in particular, South Melbourne were so good. That was one of the best 20-minute spells I've seen. I mean, that was contributed to by the fact that Boroondara...
You love a 20-minute, good 20-minute spell of quality football.
And it was there. It was there. Boroondara weren't really at the races. It really looked like South had gotten the big, you know, rev up before going, you know, this is our home ground. We're going to beat the league leaders here. And they came out firing. But the football that they were playing, Boroondara couldn't touch the ball. And every time they did, they passed it straight back to South Melbourne. That was just for the start. Whereas South Melbourne, they pressed really well. There were some really great passages where they were keeping the ball and they were building up nicely from the back. There was a spell just before the third goal, which is probably my favourite that I've seen this season, of they were being pressed hard into their own half, and South Melbourne played out from the back. It's around the 15th, 16th minute, and it was chef's kiss kind of stuff. It was really wonderful.
Did you say chef's kiss?
I did say chef's kiss.
Nice, right off it.
Cool.
Just I've not heard you say that on the show, so I thought.
Bringing some variety. I'm always evolving, Pokuah.
No, I like that. This show, we are constantly we encourage evolution.
Well, we speak about food a bit, so I thought it was also appropriate. No, so South Melbourne were really good. I was really impressed, and I'm a lot more optimistic about what South Melbourne can do this season. I mean, they're up to second on the table now, so they're...
Which is so weird. I know they've won lots of games, and they've been good throughout this season. I just didn't realise that they were that close to second. Yeah. And... it's like they came out of nowhere because I think the last time I checked, it was the game they drew with Calder, 1-1 down at Lakeside. And I didn't realise they were that high up. But because obviously a lot of results are going strangely as well, not that they aren't deserving of that second spot, it's just, much like Danielle said, just very quickly a loss or a win could take you up, rock you up the ladder, or drop you very, very far down.
And the competition's just so tight. And we're also seeing the changes in lineups. I mean, I think the top four at the moment is closer to what we expected going into the season when you've got South, Berlin, Heidelberg. the one exception to that was Boroondara, who if you swapped them and Calder would probably be like, all right, yeah, that's probably that's the norm. That's what we're expecting in the ladder across the hole. I do want to say though, just back on the South Boroondara game, because then Boroondara hit back with 2 unbelievable goals. Unbelievable goals. There was a free kick which was taken from the edge of the box. It was just powered through, and then there was a long range shot which from Korea Aquino, which was.
Who's been on fire.
Who's been on fire.
I struggle to think if anyone's actually going to catch her.
I doubt it.
In the competition for the Golden Boot. Because she is so far ahead. Like, what's she had, like 14 goals?
It's something ridiculous.
Some ridiculous
She's like
number.
more than doubling whoever's second.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
exactly. And she, if you watch her game, I like her movement off the ball, something I've been really impressed with, and her ability to just do a dummy kind of fake and get a defender off her and create space for her, something I've been really impressed with in her game as well.
But what was so exciting about this game is we got these 2 bangers from Christina Hall and Korea Aquino to make it 3-2. And then the 2 goals in the second half were like the opposite in terms of like beautiful football and just high quality. I mean, there was the goal in the first minute of the second half, which came from a goalkeeping error, just kind of sliding through the hands, through the legs and into the back of the net. And then as we talked with Danielle about that goal in, I think the 89th minute, where, you know, ricocheted off the goalkeeper back onto Danielle Wise into the back of the net. It was a real contrast in kinds of goals, but just on the whole, that game had everything. And it was probably the game of the season so far.
Yeah, probably is. I struggle to think of a game that was better.
I mean, Boroondara Heidelberg was also very good.
But it
was also crazy, but that didn't have the kind of unbelievable goals that this game had.
Well, another game that had some goals, that was the Calder taking on Bayside. Now, I understand. I just want to say this. Calder won 6-2 and they were by far and away the best side. But I have to say, I don't know if this is controversial, but Bayside have been one of my favourite teams to watch this season.
Okay.
I think they are just kind of, they embody everything that's the NPL, but I love so much how the growth of Bayside, because last year they really struggled with goals, but I love some of the players they've got into their squad and the mid-season acquisitions of Isabella Fernandez and last name Johnston. So much of a commentator.
Sarah
Johnston, knowing her last name, but I can't remember her first name exactly. And they've got Kayla Diva, who I think is just such a workhorse in this game, and I appreciate how much of their midfield has improved. I think Olivia Bomford, I believe is her name. I think she's really, really great in the midfield, and I just like watching their play. I think they're going forward. It's very intense and very frantic, but going forward, they're beautiful to watch at times, and their midfield is a lot stronger. They're not getting overpowered as much as they were last year, and they're just generally one of my favourite sides to watch in the competition so far.
They do look like they've got a new lease on life, don't they? I mean, who would have thought 10 games into the season that Bayside would be ahead of Calder?
Yes, you wouldn't have.
Crazy.
Yes, no.
Even though Calder did beat them 6-2.
And I look at Bayside and I think that they should be higher in the table, because I remember that I called that Alamein game for Bayside, a game they had no right to lose. It still baffles me how they managed to lose that game.
Clutching defeat from the jaws of victory or something like that.
Or maybe... But no, they are. I think they should be applauded for their work. The work that the club has done and the players they've got in to improve. And I think it's a benefit, obviously, as well, to having more teams in the competition this year has allowed them to, the gap is not as far. But I think they should be applauded for the work they've done.
But Calder look like they're getting back on the horse a bit.
They do.
Raquel Durala scoring a hat-trick.
Yeah.
So they're climbing their way back up.
Helen Winsburn, head coach of Calder this year.
Co-assistant coach.
Co-assistant coach, yes. Sorry, my bad. But
Maya Rana is the other one. Yep.
But no, Calder, they're getting back. It'll be interesting to see if the start of the season, that kind of struggles they had is going to really derail their season and their ability to make that finals push. Because I know we made the joke about this only being round 12 of 22 rounds. I think
23? I can't remember.
Yeah, we're halfway.
We're halfway. But you kind of have to make your push now, because there is starting to be a semi sort of gap
from the top to some of the teams at the bottom. You've kind of just got to keep up with the pace.
They still haven't kept a clean sheet this season, Calder.
Which is so weird because they conceded only 8 goals last year?
Something like that. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they do still have players coming back. Like we know that they announced that Alana Cern would be back in the club. And presumably they will stabilise, but it's pretty incredible that there were 10 games in Calder without a clean sheet.
Yeah, it's not something you would have had on your bingo card this year. Not that anyone under the age of 50, the age of 50 is playing bingo, respectfully.
If anyone has an MPLW bingo card, let us know.
Bring that in.
I would love to see it.
We'll have you as a guest if that's the case.
You can run the show, honestly.
No, but do you know a player that I saw this morning that I think we should give a massive shout out to? Used to play for start of the season with Southern United, now playing for FE Emerging, but just got a call up in Ray Dowers' junior Matilda squad heading to, I'm not going to say because I have no idea. I can't remember, and I'm not trying to embarrass myself.
In Korea?
I think it's Korea.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Is Kira Myers, who I think when you watch that Southern United side at the start of the year, who was struggling, she was one of the standouts, and I think she's kind of fit in seamlessly with that FE Emerging squad. Obviously, FE Emerging are much like FE Emerging, where some days they're going to be fantastic and some days it's not going to go their way. But I think we should give a massive, just applause and congratulations to that young player and making it into one of those national team squads.
No, I think so. She's hasn't quite, I think, been able to make the same impact in the emerging team just yet. They've had a few tough games.
But she's got a connection with, you know what? I don't know why.
You might just need to pull the plug.
No, I don't know.
Pull the plug, Pokuah.
No, seriously. Today's been such a stressful day for my brain.
Yeah.
And but no, I think we can see her. I can see the prospects of a player like that, and I think she's really smart on the ball. And I weirdly don't see her as a striker. I know she played that role for Southern, and maybe that was just out of necessity. And we see her be deployed as a winger for FE Emerging.
Also more centrally a couple of times.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I would like to see her maybe playing the deeper role as a number 10, because she's quite a fascinating player, and I like her skill set.
Fantastic. And I think we've got 2 other games that we haven't yet touched on. One of those was the Friday night game, Box Hill 2, Preston 0. Preston, who started the season really, really brightly, and they've just kind of tailed off a little bit in the last few weeks. I think they've picked up a number of draws which have kind of stifled their progress, but then, the last 2 weeks, Box Hill, Bayside,
they're
couple of losses.
3-4-3 at the moment.
Yeah. So it's maybe just a bit of a reversion to the mean as much as anything. Both they and Burundara really surprised everyone with how brightly they started the season. Box Hill United, they were a bit all over the place in the first couple of months of their campaign, to be completely honest. They look like they've started to sort that out a little bit, and I think that the inclusion
of Sophia
Sakalis is huge. She scored their first goal on Friday night, and we speak a lot about what we like about Sophia Sakalis, and probably right up the top of that list is her game intelligence. And she was so good the way that it was a set piece, and she timed her run so well and stayed on side, and it was just a full display of what Sophia Sakalis is good at. They also had Mindy Barbieri back, who provides a lot of composure in the puck. Rosie Curtis as well as another player. So Box Hill are a team who've been bringing in a lot of A-League players, and they've really improved on the back of that. Whilst Preston, yes, Emma Check is there. We saw Ella Mastrantonio play on Friday night as well. Still yet to see Caitlin Torpey actually feature. I think that Caitlin Torpey will make that Preston side a lot better because they need a bit of a
spark.
A bit of a spark at the moment. Box Hill, though, they're looking much more put together than they were in the first few weeks of the campaign.
Box Hill were one of the teams I did really enjoy watching last season. Even though they struggled, I just thought that their midfield was always something to be envious of. And, Sophia Sakalis, I think that's something I've really liked about her game throughout the seasons, is that she's continually improved, and she's never seemed to rest on her laurels and just go into her default setting ever in a game. I'm constantly seeing her improve in the NPL and then in the dub as well. And I think that her intelligence, like you said, Oscar, is something to be marvelled at, particularly for such a young player. And she's certainly one to continue to watch as she progresses in the game.
Well, I think the key improvement for Box Hill is in the first 5 games of the season they conceded quick math, 16 goals.
Quick math's nice.
And in the last 5 games, they've only conceded 5. So that's really where the improvements come. That's a whole team thing. That's not just making your defence better. Making
your team better, but having a little bit more control in the midfield is relieving a lot of that pressure on their defensive unit. And it will be interesting. They're sitting on 10 points at the moment, and the Heidelberg are in 4th, and they're on 16 points. So, it's certainly not something that's out of reach for them.
What's great is that perhaps with the exception of Southern United, I don't feel comfortable ruling out any team from the finals race at this point in time, where we're at the halfway point of the season. And I mean, FE Emerging are up and down. That's what FE Emerging do when you've got such young players. But Box Hill are on the rise. Preston, we've seen them play a lot better than they have this season. Calder are getting better. You mentioned how good Bayside have been. Alamein are always there and about. So all of these teams who aren't in the top 4 right now, I think you can make a strong argument that they may end the season there.
Absolutely. It'd be interesting to see if Boroondara are able to maintain. Obviously, they lost on the weekend, and they did lose midweek as well. But if they're able to continue that run, and it'd be interesting to see how the Nike FC Cup, some of these teams are still in there, and how much, how that will affect their run later in the season as well. So, I think that this is what I like about the NPL this year. I like the more teams are in the competition. I like how evenly balanced it is, and I like the players we've got sprinkled out. Obviously, the dub players returning is. The competition did take a step up in quality, but I also appreciate some of the players who are on the fringes of getting dub contracts, and they've got time to shine, and being able to play with players who are playing in the dub a little bit more frequently, they are required to be a lot better as well. And it'd be interesting to see how many people leave this NPL season feeling that they should get an A-League women's contract.
I'm excited for the rest of the season.
I certainly am too. What game are you calling this weekend?
This weekend, I've got the Friday night game, which is Preston Alamein.
Preston Alamein.
So 2 of those teams in the mixer, hoping to charge back in towards those finals positions.
Well, I've got Calder Box Hill at 3 p.m. down at Keilor
Recreation Reserve. Yeah,
that's it. Keilor Park Recreation Reserve. So it should be really, really good and really entertaining. But for now, I've been Pokuah Frimpong. You've been
Oscar Rutherford.
That's your name. That is your name. That's your name, Oscar Rutherford. If you missed out on the first 20 minutes of the show we spoke to Danielle Wise from South Melbourne, also known as...
Did you just forget my name? Is that what happened?
No, I just wanted you to say it.
Okay, cool.
God, I wanted you to have your own agency of your own name.
Okay, I appreciate that. I feel empowered.
I try my best. Yeah, I try my best. We spoke to DJ Wise in the first 20 minutes. So if you missed that, catch that on Spotify and everything else. And you can listen to this bit of the podcast as well if you like. We'd appreciate it. But for now, bye for now.
Pickett, she lays it off to